Hi, I'm Misty Keasler. I'm a photographer and I live just north of Dallas. I have a photograph in the exhibition for a dreamer of houses. I really love this show. It was an honor to be included in it, but really I love how overall the show made me quite nostalgic about home in this wonderful, sort of dreamy, melancholic way. The photograph that I have that's in the exhibition is from an orphanage in Romania. I spent a summer there one year, and I was volunteering, rocking babies and helping out, changing diapers, really doing everything that we could with a group of volunteers to alleviate the workers that were there and to give the babies more time to be held. Anytime a new baby came to this orphanage, which was specifically for children that were under the age of 2, they would spend typically a couple of weeks in the quarantine rooms. And that was to make sure that they had nothing that was a communicable disease that could be passed on to the other children and the rest of the population. It's quite ironic that the quarantine photograph is on exhibition right now, considering that all of us are quarantined in our homes and we're having to think about the idea of quarantine more than, I've thought about it now more than I've ever thought about it in my life. So I'm sure that most of you are in the same boat, but it does give me this kind of cool opportunity to give you a tour of my studio and show you what I've been thinking about and working on in light of everything that's happening right now. So let me take you to the studio. It's in my house, so you get a glimpse of the hallway and some of the art that me and my 3 kids live with here. And I really love this studio. I feel lucky to have a space that's inside of our house because it allows me to work really late at night and on weekends, and I can print things, and then if I need to go make dinner in the middle of it, I can do that or see to some homework, all while I'm working here. So having this is really a privilege. A lot of the studio is not picked up, so I'm giving you guys a nice COVID quarantine glimpse of the studio. I have boxes of negatives behind another wrapped framed print, and as you can see in the foreground, there is a very large table. This is where I often lay out whatever I'm working on, and I thought that it would be nice to maybe go through some of the prints that I worked on earlier this year before showing you what I'm working on while I'm in quarantine. These are some of the newer photographs from the community of Zabaleen that collect the garbage from Cairo. This community in particular is Coptic Christian, so they are a minority in Egypt, and they live in one neighborhood that is recycling somewhere between 80 and 90% of all the trash. It's a pretty remarkable statistic. And both of these are inside of flats in the suburb that is nicknamed Garbage City, where everyone brings back their trash. This bedroom was actually put together by a couple right before they got married. So when they set up their flat, they set it up for the type of family they expect to have. So they have no children, and they had this bedroom set up for 2. So you can see there are a lot of interiors that I think really start to describe the community and put together a picture of them. And these photographs actually span into other series of work that I've done. I've been working with victims of human trafficking. This is a shelter for victims who have just gotten out of human trafficking, and I find things so poignant, like this space above the bed where you can tell that a head has been resting and someone has kind of left marks on the wall as a sign of the presence of people coming in and out of that space and that shelter. And then this was a man who was freed from human trafficking, and after he got home, this baby came, kind of a result of new life, new hope. And then another interior with a victim of human trafficking. So she was a remarkable woman who's really done well and become an advocate against human trafficking. But I worked in a lot of these portraits to hide identities, and her bed in her parents' house was sort of a perfect place for her to be, for this photograph to conceal her identity. And then you look at things like the interiors of haunted houses. This was such an interesting project for me to think about American culture and what it says about us, that we love haunted houses so much and we love to be scared, and we base a lot of these interiors on very scary, real monsters that come from American history and figments of our imagination and figments of truth. And we have such a fascination with monsters. Like everyone else, we have been stuck in our house for the last several weeks. The city of Richardson declared a state of emergency, and in an attempt to flatten the curve, we've been trying to stay home as much as possible. So I'm a photographer that needs a lot of time to process things. I also have been photographing what the house is like. I've been thinking a lot about the visuals of what's happening, as well as the sort of emotional and psychological aspects of it. And I find a lot of moments that are happening are fairly poetic. But I get out my Hasselblad and take photographs. The labs are closed because they're not considered an essential business, so I know that it might be a really long time before I get to see the film. So I've been photographing the ground glass from the top of the Hasselblad with my iPhone. And actually, I really like those photographs and that effect. I thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me in my studio and for looking at my work. And I hope that you stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you on the other side.